zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a waffle wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. The standoff in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to another Cowboy Game Day Live, Week 4. I'm your host, Skywalker, still with my brother from another, as always, Jesse Holley, former Dallas Cowboy. What's good brother?
What's going on, man? You know, same old, same old.
Hey, I told you before we got on here, I was questionable, like a lot of the Cowboys right now, right? I was questionable, but I battled it through. I'm here, so if I sound funny, just bear with me, Cowboys Nation. Super under the weather, but the Cowboys will not be under the weather. They're back at home on a 9-game win streak. No crazy elements. Almost got the full cast of members, whether it be the wide receivers and the offensive line. Almost. But I'll take it, bro. I'll take it. I think this is about the most complete we'll see the Cowboys today. And what I mean by that is Cowboys inactives aren't too out of the ordinary. So let's get right into that, Jesse, and talk about who will be suiting up, who will not be suiting up. And that'll be Peyton Hendershot, Israel Mukuamu, Eric Scott, Jalen Brooks, Junior Fehoko, Trey Lance, and Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, once again, is out, which, look, this doesn't surprise me, right? Like, Tyron Smith gets hurt. These things are going to happen. Thus, this is the projected offensive line for the Cowboys today, Jesse, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this as the Cowboys get ready to go up against a very stout Patriots defense. Chuma Edoga, left tackle, Tyler Smith, left guard, Tyler Biadasz returns at center, Zach Martin returns at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle. From the outset, I can get down with that, but once you break it down, once you break it down, there is a mismatch that the Cowboys will have to be worried about, and I think we're both on the same page here. Jesse.
Yeah, it is. I mean, of course, when you look at that and you go, all right, Chuma Edoga playing the left tackle spot, and what the Patriots like to do with Matthew Judon at that right end spot for them. But I understand. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, why not just kick Tyler Smith out there at left tackle and find somebody else to play the left guard? But the thing that I got a chance to talk to Nate Newton about this.
Yeah. He persuaded me, bro.
Yeah, and Nate, he told me, he said, listen, man, you want to fortify the middle of the pocket. You want to lock that in. And now when you have Tyler back and you have Zach Martin back, you now have a solid interior defense, right? Your center is good. Your right guard is great. Your left guard is good. So now when Dak wants to step up in that pocket, we can do that. The pocket doesn't collapse. The end doesn't become shorter because you have a solidified front. And now what you can do with Chuma is you can send help. You can have the back chip over there. You can have a tight end chip over there. You can move the pocket. You can slide protection to the left. There are a multitude of things that you can do to kind of, and you can't do it every single down. There are going to be some downs where, you know what, Chuma, you're an NFL player, right? You're a National Football League player. You're going to have to battle out there sometimes and use technique and just fight. Push a guy past the hump, whatever you have to do. Just don't hold and make a penalty. But you're going to have to stand up and fight at point in times in this football game. But there are so many things that you can do to give help to Chuma Edoga and not just leave him out there on an island like the Cowboys did a couple years ago in Atlanta with Chaz Green and send no help. So I think that's the thinking of this. The thought process of it is, let's secure the inside and then we can help on the outside. So I'm not mad at it. I get it. I hear what you guys are saying. Hey, but I think the days of Tyler Smith playing left tackle are pretty much over. I think he is now your left guard of the future, and I think the Cowboys will begin to look at other options at left tackle. And the one thing I'll say about this Tyron Smith situation, what pisses me off to no end with the front office is we keep betting on this guy.
That's a whole. Jesse, we can have a whole show because we said this, right? We said this that you don't rely on Tyron Smith for a whole season. You just don't. You need to have a backup plan. However, And this look, we have our own show, but we need to have a real own show because that could be in the show of and of itself. I do think Tyler's still the left tackle of the future. I do.
Oh.
Based off of what Steven was saying, and just in general, like the left tackle position is left tackle, right? It's a premium position. It's a money 5. However, I think at the moment right now they're electing to just roll with this because of continuity purposes. But I think if this happened to be the start of next year, I feel like Tyler would be your left tackle. I feel like that, according to Steven. Let me just say that. Steven did say he is the left tackle of the future, but right now this is how they see it. I started off the week the same way, brother. The same way. Give me left. I still kind of would be, I kind of wanted to, with Tyler Smith, that left tackle. But listening to a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler, I get it. Like, I feel what he's saying, right? You can chip over there. You can get guys over there to help Chuma from time to time. But if you get that pressure in your face right now, there's nothing you can do about it. What moved me from what Nate Newton said was you can't help if Lawrence Guy is right over top of your center or your guard and he just beats you right to your face. I'm like, you know what? I mean, that's true. Whereas I can maybe get a little help over there. However, this is Bill, and Bill is going to take advantage of Chuma Edoga any way he can with the matchup. I had one of the key matchups coming into this game thinking that Tyron would play would be Terrence Steele against Judon. I feel like they'll definitely line up Judon on Chuma's side as much as they can or get some games going over there because the one thing that worries me about Chuma, is that he doesn't handle the ET stunts well, brother. And he hasn't went up against this type of edge guy. I didn't go up against that type of edge against Arizona. He settled down, but Judon is going to come after you every single play, man.
Yeah, and again, that's why when you have those plays where you're trying to set things up and potentially go down the football field, hey, tight end, chip, stay in there a little bit longer, back before you get out in the flat, chip. Just always give that guy an option to know that I have some help over there with me. But again, this is the National Football League, man. Like at some point in time, Chuma, if you're going to put on this uniform, I'm not saying that you have to win or dominate or crush Matthew Judon. Would I like it? Absolutely. But you're going to have to battle. Like you're going to have to settle in. You're going to have to battle, and you're going to have to know the guy that's in front of you. You have to know what's coming. You have to know and be ready for those things and communicate that stuff with Tyler Smith to your right, and if there's a tight end to your left. So you got to be able just to be in the game, be fully focused on what you're doing, and really just lock in on the assignment. It happens all across the league. That's if there's one thing I kind of get a little bit irritated about is there's a lot of teams that play with a lot of missing pieces, especially up front. You got to just find a way to battle through. And then the coaching staff, Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, you guys have to figure out a way that when I take the shot, I have to take the shot. Maybe I have to max protect. Maybe I can only put 2 receivers in a route. Maybe I got a slide protection. Whatever I have to do, I can semi-boot, even though I don't like the boot, but I can semi-boot. I can do some things that just give him a little bit of an opportunity to, if he can't stop a guy like Matthew Judon, at least give him a chance to stall him a little bit before the ball gets off.
Yeah, you're going to have to be ready for whatever Bill Belichick throws at you with this group. I think they have some talented guys over there. Matt Judon, Christian Gonzalez is off to a good start for his rookie, the rookie out of Oregon. Jabril Peppers is kind of resurging under Bill, and Kyle Duggar. I think those two safeties, hyperactive safeties on the back end, help kind of keep everything under control in front of them. Very disciplined and sound defense, but we're talking about Bill, right? That's what Bill does. And one of the things they're doing right now at a high rate is blitzing, Jesse. They're the 6th highest rated blitz team in the league, and they get home with pressure. I'm sorry, they're the 6th highest pressure rated team in the league, and they send a blitz the 4th highest rate in the league as well. So once you get to that third down, that's where Bill kind of turns the heat up a little bit, and they're 3rd in the league on third down, where Dallas is 3rd. So this is going to be something's going to have to give today in regards to that third down situation. And one of the things, and I kind of laugh about this a little bit because we both were watching some Patriots film, and we both ended up seeing the same things. I'm watching this film, right? I did the Jets game first, and then I went to the the Miami game. And I'm sitting here, I'm about a quarter and a half in, and I'm like, I don't think this is going to do me any good, bro. Because the way they're playing this Miami team is no one has that. No one has the speed that threatens the team that way. So they're playing 3 high safeties, from the rip. They're not trying to hide it. They got 3 guys, and one in the middle, one on the 2 sides of the field, and they're just playing it differently. But what I do take away from that game, Jesse, is that I saw a lot of space and opportunity that does get the Patriots in trouble a bit. If you can get to the edges, if you can get some counters going, get some movement going, right? I think you could take advantage of them because I don't think it's an overly athletic defense. They're very sound and disciplined up front, and you got like Gonzalez and Peppers on the back end, but it's not the Cowboys defense where it's fast and aggressive. They're actually trying to play sound and make you matriculate down the field. And for whatever reason, Jesse, we didn't see some of these plays last week. A lot of this pre-snap motion, getting to the edges, using your explosives. We didn't see it. I'm hoping we get that back now that we're at home because I think that's somewhere where the Cowboys can take advantage of the Patriots making you have to go down the field, underneath. Okay, you want me to go down the field underneath? Well, I'm going to give it to these explosives, and they can pop off 15, 20, 30, 40-yard plays. Yeah,
absolutely. One of the things that when I initially saw, if there's a single digit in the Patriots defense, good player. Just look if you're a novice watching this game and you want to know, hey man, who's a good player on the Patriots defense? If they wear a single digit, good player. 9, 5, 2, 3, 8, like good player if they have a single digit on the Patriots defense. But to your point, Scott, is when you watch the Miami game, we both find ourselves watching the Miami offense a little bit too much in those games anyway.
Yes.
But what the Cowboys can do is, you're correct, get the ball on the edges. I think that was a sweet spot for both of the games that we watched, was seeing that the ability to get on the edge. If there's one place where that's susceptible, it's that area. It's covering the edge. Bill has always been a coach that's always going to have good cornerback play, smart safety play, and at least one rusher. He feels like that's a thing that's tied together on a string. And when it comes to pressure, you're going to see Jabril Peppers walk down in there. They're going to blitz off the slot. They're going to blitz from those slot positions. You're going to see Matthew Judon, kind of like Micah Parsons. He'll line up all over the defensive line, and they'll bring that 5th or 6th guy. But you just never know where it's going to come from, and that's where they try to confuse you a little bit. Is that they'll line guys up, and then they'll bring a guy from an edge where you can't see it. So the Cowboys are going to have to be really good in their communication, especially up with the guy like Chuma, but having Zach Martin, having Tyler Biadasz back in there, even if they're not 100%, the mind and the mental part of the game, they're 100% on. And so the communication is a lot clearer and a lot more available for guys to use that information. I do think the Cowboys, when Mike McCarthy realized when he woke up Sunday morning that I wasn't going to have Tyler, Tyron, and Zach, I think he balled up a portion of that playbook. Yeah. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, I think he did it. And I think he looked at certain things and go, well, those plays will work better if I had the right offensive line to run them. And I think now that you get 2 out of those 3 guys back, you're at home, you're going to see a little bit more variation from the Cowboys offensively. I think you're going to see more shots down the field. I think the pre-snap motion is going to come back, and you can't run up the middle on these guys. One thing that most people the cliche when it comes to Bill Belichick is do your job. And Bill Belichick always wants to employ guys who do their job. He's not asking you to do more than your job. He's not asking you to do someone else's job. If your job is to be in the A-gap, be in the A-gap. If your job is to take on a double team, then take on a double team, because I need to free up my linebacker. So that's what they do really well defensively, is they all do their job. And up front, it's very difficult to run on those guys because they're not trying to join the sack party. Like their defensive linemen aren't going to get sacks. They're not looking. They're not trying to swim over and spin. No. They're trying to get locked up with you. They're trying to eat up those holes, eat up those blocks, and allow their linebackers to be free. So if you're trying to run up the middle, it's going to be very difficult. That's why I think on the edges is where the Cowboys can make some hay today.
They are without 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks, too, coming into this game. After, I believe it's Jones or Johnson, one of the guys are out, as well as, actually there is a Jones. There's a Marcus Jones. He's out as well. So, these guys won't be available. So I think they'll really probably play off a bit. One thing I noticed is that, they're going to give you a lot of space, from a receiver standpoint. They're not in your chest every single play. They're playing pretty far off. And they'll accept a 7-yard pass as long as they're tackling you, not giving up some yak, yards after reception. However, you were onto something, and you're absolutely right. They balled up a certain part of the playbook. They all but came out and said that. And I expect the verticality part of the offense to return today. Maybe not in spades because this is a team that wants to keep things in front of you. However, you're now at home for the first time with Brandon Cooks, and you have 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen. And if we're being completely honest, the one that's out, we all knew that was going to happen. So let's just keep it at being like you were going to see this type of offensive line for probably at least 6 games of the season. That's just kind of how it's been.
And let me add a small piece to the offensive line thing. This is me kind of foreshadowing. If Tyron Smith is not close to participating next week, I think we can see something where he goes on the IR.
Yeah.
I think we can see because I know a lot of times, trainers, they say, all right, let's rehab it. Let's see if we can get some things going. But for this to be 2 weeks in a row, something that happened on a Saturday, we thought that he would maybe be back by now. If he's not in a place where he's going to play next week against the Niners, I would not be surprised if the Cowboys take that IR approach and hit, something, a scope or something needs to be cleaned up, in the knee, and they try to get it done now so that they have them at least for the end of the season / playoff run.
Yeah, this is where I think the front office does drop the ball. Is they just don't really seem to they have a plan, but they don't ever seem to be able to execute it because people constantly grab anybody you cut. The Cowboys are losing the waiver wire situation because they just don't want to put people on IR. Last year it was Ridgeway. They refused to put Dak on IR. He ended up missing 4 games anyway. They didn't want to tap anybody on the knee or on the shoulder and say, hey, we're going to put you on IR so we can get Isaiah Land on the team. They lost Isaiah Land through waivers. Same thing happened with Devin Harper. They obviously lost Devin Harper. They could have probably put Tyron on IR and just dealt with it. You're 9 times out of 10, brother, Tyron's going to miss 4 games anyway. So you might as well just go ahead and let him rest so we can, go, like you said, get him back in the swing of things later on. So if that happens, it'll likely have cost you somewhat. Now, is Devin Harper, again, we'll get to the other side of the ball in a second, is he some starter or something? No. But it was getting to a point where I was kind of wanting to see, well, what can he provide you defensively if he can give you a spark or not? And they just elected to say, hey, we'll roll with 2 linebackers. Yeah. And again, that's something for another day. If we want to talk about why they made that move, we can kind of revert it back to the offense. Brock Hoffman was done with his call-ups, and they elected to roll with signing him to the 53, so they had to create a roster spot. And that's why they got rid of Devin Harper, or they could have just IR'd Tyron Smith, called up Brock Hoffman. And also, Sean McEwen was called up for the first time because Peyton Hendershot was out. And let me tell you where I think having this group back, and I understand it's not all of the starting 5, but having Tyler, Zach, Terrence all together, plus a Sean McEwen, the red zone. The red zone suffered last week, in my opinion, for a multitude of reasons. You couldn't block it up front. I don't think you had a great plan, and then you weren't executing and making throws. For instance, Dak Prescott had, I know it was a pass interference, but I'm going to always talk about the throw because I think he could have let him out there, and Dak even said it. So you get all 3 of these things compounding against each other in the red zone. Well, now you finally got this is about as good as it's going to get. I mean, you can kick Tyler out. Awesome Richards, your backup left tackle. You can put Awesome in, whatever. But this unit, to me, Jesse, it should be able to get you back on track in the red zone where the Cowboys have been struggling. I kind of wrote this down because it's really strange. The first 6 quarters, the Cowboys are 71% in the red zone. First 6 quarters of the season. The last 6 quarters, 1 for 8. 1 for 8. Now, you could argue in a Jets game about circumstances, and the game was out of hand, it was over. But the last game, obviously, 1 for 5, and the way it operated down there, being in 3rd and long so much and 2nd and long so much, that hurts you. But that is a drastic difference from the first 6 quarters to the last 6 quarters, and that right now is the reason why the Cowboys are at 41% in the bottom third of the league, and it's really the only thing they're not doing at a high level. Let's be honest, a high level. You're moving the ball between the 20s. You're top 5 in 3rd downs. You're number 1 in getting to the red zone. No other team has had more red zone snaps than the Dallas Cowboys. You're just not executing in the last 6 quarters in the red zone. And I think having these guys back will help tremendously.
I think so. I think so as well. And when you get down to the red zone, people have to understand, right? There is you. For me, I look at the red zone. And I think, all right, how can we? Because we can't go vertical anymore. When you get to that, especially when you get to that low red zone, that 12, 10 yards and in, the end zone ends the thing, and the defense usually use that as their 12th man. So I start thinking about, okay, how can we stretch this thing horizontally? And when you can stretch it horizontally and you can get guys out there who can work in space, that's when you see your runners who have good vision, your receivers who can run good routes, your tight ends who understand leverage, and then your quarterback who understands what side to pick and go to that side right away and deliver the football. So for the Cowboys coming into this game, I think always, anytime you have a confident offensive line that you feel that can block these things up, now your playbook opens up tremendously and you're not afraid to call anything because you believe in what you're calling. And everybody believes in it. But there is something in the back of your head, and I believe coaches have this, is that when they know, they're like, man, can this guard get out and make this block? Can this center get to this reach block? Can they combo block this? Can they dual block this? Can they? And then you start second guessing yourself. And in the moment that you need to make these calls, you go with a conservative call because you aren't that sure about what you have up front. I think having the addition of these guys back gives the coaches, gives the players the confidence to call whatever call they want to call in the playbook. But also, I think the performance that they had last week, and everyone's been talking about it, there was an assertive effort, and Mike McCarthy talked about it, that, we spent more time in this. And you have to have a collection of plays where you, to steal a Jason Garrett term, that these plays are going to work or have a high percentage of working in the red zone. Yeah. And you got to go to them and operate them and hit them successfully, and not taking a personal shot. But CeeDee Lamb, when the ball comes to you on those type of routes, you can't be and moan about a little bit of contact. Make a play on the football, be the dog that you are, and help your situation, help your team situation, help your situation, and get things going, because you don't have many opportunities for those things to come your way again.
Yeah, it felt like, they just weren't there. A handful of our players, or our whole unit, if you look at the other side, especially in the first, 2.5 quarters or whatever, they just weren't there mentally, and they need to be this week, because Bill Belichick, look, nobody feels sorry for you in this league, number one. They don't care that you lost Trayvon Diggs. They don't care about you having 3 offensive linemen out. It doesn't matter. You got to go out there. And when we flip it to the other side, we talk about this Patriots offense. It is a drastically different style of offense from last week. I mean, you want to talk about doing a complete 180 when you watch this team on film. If you notice the key players I have listed here, Mike Gesicki, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott, we're talking about a team last week who does a whole lot of pre-snap stuff, a whole lot of speed stuff, using these guys like Rondale Moore and the kid Hollywood Brown and getting in space. No, this Patriots team wants to bog this thing down because they don't have the same offensive firepower from a speed standpoint on the outside, but they have fantastic tight ends. They got Ramondre Stevenson, and they have a homecoming today by a particular player who ended the season, in a certain way. And we're talking about Will Grier. I'm just playing. We're talking about this. Ezekiel Elliott makes his return to the Cowboys, and he's going to get a nice, I guess they're going to do a presentation for him and whatnot. He's going to be fired up. Zeke is going to be in here, and he's going to try to do everything in his power to get going. But he is who he is, and he's still not – I wouldn't use the word explosive for any of these guys, right? So they're going to try to just ground and pound and use these tight ends, Jesse, in this offense to kind of matriculate down the field. And they haven't really been doing that. They are 26 in points scored, but they will run the hell out the ball. They're top 10 in doing it, and they're going to get Gesicki and Henry involved out there in the pass game.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, no one's going to feel sorry for you in this league. This is a copycat league. Oh, by the way, when you show something on film, especially when you got the next game is going up against Bill Belichick, they're going to check it. You gave up 223 rushing yards last week to the Arizona Cardinals. You can bet your bottom dollar. You can bet your mama's bottom dollar. You can bet your daddy's bottom dollar that Bill Belichick is going to check underneath there and see if you have corrected your issues. If he's seen that y'all was jumping gaps, if he's seen that y'all was out of place, if he's seen that you were sticking the blocks, he's going to check it again to make sure that you corrected it. And if you didn't, he's going to exploit it, and he's going to exploit it for as long as he possibly can until you fix it. So the Cowboys have to get ready for that. Dan Quinn has said on numerous occasions, it is a privilege to pass rush. And that means that you got to go and do your work on first and second down and stopping the run and putting them on third and long situations so that you have the privilege to pass rush. But understand, this pass rushing and sacking isn't for all of y'all. I know everybody wants to get sacks. I know everybody wants to get to the party. I know everyone wants to do their dance and everyone wants to do what they do when they get their sack. But you gotta maintain your assignment and alignment. You got to maintain your leverage. You have to be sound in what you do. And then if the opportunity presents itself, go get the quarterback, because the Patriots are going to try to run the football. That's what they're going to try to do. And it's going to be a heavy dose of Stevens, Ramondre. He's going to get the ball a lot. Maybe they work. Zeke is kind of, his reps have been going up as the season is going on. Last week, 80 yards against the Jets. So on 15 carries. So maybe they may give him some more reps. Bill's not one that is about homecomings. Bill don't care about that. He don't care. That,
he's trying to win.
He don't care about. So he's not going to be like, hey, it's the homecoming for Zeke. Let's make him the starting running back and give him 40 carries. He don't care about none of that. He's going to be like, listen, we're going to run the game plan. If when you get your reps, you make the best of them, great. If not, we're going to keep pushing. But I do think that the Cowboys are going to run the football at the Patriots are going to run the football at the Cowboys. Test to see if they corrected those things. And then if they have momentum in running the football, that's when you see those passes, right? The 13 personnel deep passes down there, max protection. That's when you see Hunter Henry and company sneak out down the middle of the football field. So you got to be aware of that. But at first, you got to stop the run. That is first and foremost. That has to be topic of discussion for this Cowboys defense today. And it shouldn't be an energy issue. There was an energy issue last week. And I said this on all my shows. If a coach at any level, little league, middle school, high school, college, Pop Warner, NFL, doesn't matter. If a coach has to spend any time, a millisecond, on effort and energy, that's a millisecond wasted. No coach, especially at the NFL level, should ever have to coach effort. And there was an effort issue last week on the defense. That needs to be corrected. That needs to be corrected ASAP, because if it isn't, then you got a serious problem on your hand with this defense.
Yeah, last week you brought up 13 personnel. They found some success in 13 personnel, and they found it in a specific coverage that the Jets run, that the Cowboys run more than anyone. You talk about a single high, one high shell, or just in general one high man. The Cowboys run it more than anyone. And they have some success in it in a way, but last week they kind of got exposed through the air and on the ground, honestly. And if we want to look at some of these plays here, if I can pull it up, let me see here. It might be working now, Jesse. So let me see. Boom. Yeah. I want to show you what the Patriots were able to do out of this 13 personnel package. And this doesn't look like 13, but what you're going to see is a tight end is lined up in the backfield, a tight end is lined up on the edge, and then one comes in motion. That's Gesicki. So that's 13 personnel package. And look what's happening from a congested part of the field for the defense. They got a lot of people in the box, right? And they're going to basically get these tight ends blocking out on the edge. You're going to have, I think, Pharaoh Brown pull. Obviously, Orlando Brown's going to pull, and Mike Gesicki's going to crash down here, take out this defensive end, and get Ezekiel Elliott in space. This type of play worked excellently last week against the Jets, who are a good defense. There were about 3 runs where Zeke didn't get touched to the third level. If you're not going to touch Zeke in the third level, he's just going to continue to have success. So they get some success out of a play like this. Now we come back to 13 personnel. How do you build off of that? Once again, you got 3 tight ends out there. You got a congested area. You have a single high safety up there. A lot of guys in the box. We're going to feed off of what we did previously earlier in the game. We're going to get some motion going and get a quick out from these 2 tight ends, and then we're going to get a pop pass after the play action to one of the tight ends, I believe Pharaoh Brown, for a wide open touchdown, because you're worried about that run a little bit. You lose containment. You lose the tight end, and here we go for a touchdown against the Jets. So these are the type of things you got to worry about a little bit, Jesse, when you play that type of coverage, that single high safety look, dealing with the run. They're not an explosive offense, but if you get caught sleeping, if you don't have that energy, right? If Malik Hooker or one of the linebackers, one of the corners are kind of falling asleep at the wheel like we saw last week against Arizona with miscommunication. They'll pop you with one of these tight ends or they'll pop you with the toss. And now we're kind of continuing to move the chains if you're the Patriots or scoring a big play through the air. They have to be able to contain that personnel set, which I invite personally. I invite that because I think their offensive line is compromised. I don't think it's as physical, and I don't think their scheme is as creative. And I think we have some dogs on the other side. However, can't fall asleep at that wheel.
Yeah. No, and you're right. And for our linebackers, for Leighton Vander Esch, for Damone Clark, you gotta get off blocks, right?
Yeah.
When they're in those tight end sets, I watched the kid, who was it last week? McBride. McBride was blocking our linebackers, and they were just sticking. And for the Cowboys is that and other teams have done it as well, but the Cowboys, they've been more in this, using those big nickel personnel packages where Donovan Wilson and Jaron Kearse are down at the line of scrimmage as pseudo linebackers, right? So those guys are going to be down there. You gotta fill the gaps, right? You got to step up. You can't get blocked. You can't run around blocks. You can't create holes that guys can't recover for. So when you get into those 13 personnels, of course, the first thing that comes to your mind, it's a run. 13 personnel is primarily a run-dominated personnel, right? It's you're going to get bigger bodies in there, and you'll shoot a pass every now and again. But for the most part, you have to understand, I stop the run first, and once we do that and we put them in a situation, now I can set myself up to defend the pass. But if they got both of those things rolling, now you're on your heels, and now you find yourself looking around saying, I don't know what they're going to run, and they have the advantage on you. Quick update, the Philadelphia Eagles, it was just tied 24-all. Philly just scored a touchdown to go up on the Washington Commanders in the fourth quarter, 1:43 left.
Yeah.
Touchdown good. So Washington, I have 1:43. Been playing a good game today. We'll see what happens with this game.
Yeah, that's been a fun game to watch. Just typical NFC East battle back and forth. Tough game, man. Tough game. So regardless what happens here, Dallas is going to have to handle business because it looks like Philly's probably going to go 4-0. So you don't want to fall 2 games behind here at all. We kind of wanted Washington to get this one. Then you take care of business, and then now we're all tied at the top of the division. But nonetheless, great game going on over there. So we're about 15 minutes or so away from kickoff for the Cowboys, week 4 against the Patriots. And we're talking right now about the Cowboys, it was an offense, defense. Cowboys defense having to stop this, I hate to say contain, because it hasn't been an explosive offense. The Patriots offense is just not one of those ones. However, this is Bill. And I think it was McCarthy who talked about unscouted looks. We're still early in the season. And like you said, Bill Belichick will see something on film, and he'll tell his guys to just run it. Bill O'Brien, who was Mac Jones' coach, I believe, in Alabama at one point, he'll just continue to run it. One thing I noticed, though, if you can contain that up front, if you force them to run in the middle because they don't do very well doing so, now Mac Jones has to force the ball down the field a little bit, and he hasn't been connecting. These receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, and these guys haven't really been separating. They've got a little dynamo in Douglas, who I believe is a young kid, might even be a rookie. He kind of can get busy a little bit in the sense of he's their explosive player, so they're going to take some downfield shots or they're going to get him the ball at the line of scrimmage. But if we can make Mac Jones have to throw that rock down the field, at least to his wide receivers, it hasn't been connecting. It's those tight ends he's really going to be looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Patriots, with their offensive line, it's in shambles. I know that they're starting left guard. I think Strange, he's out today. So again, do your job early, right? Do what you have to do in the early downs. And we want Mac Jones in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 situation because I don't think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a good decision maker. I don't think he has a big, powerful arm. There isn't a level of fear. He's not mobile. There isn't a level of fear that I have in Mac Jones. I think if you do what you're supposed to do in those early downs and you put the football in Mac's hands to throw it, Mac Jones will give you all that you can serve up. He's a sack. He'll throw one up for an interception. I mean, he's wildly inaccurate when he's
not mobile. So
he ain't running away from you. So I really do look forward to seeing what this defense will do up front. And like you, I want Mac Jones with the football in his hand trying to beat us.
Yeah, we need a bounce back game here. I'd rather people at the end of this game say, "Oh well, it's only Mac Jones." I don't care. I don't care because it was only Josh Dobbs last week, and you couldn't get it done. So
Right.
you need a lot of guys on that side of the ball who have pride, right? And in the way they play. You heard J-Ron come out and say it. You talked about effort. The very first big play was because of effort. If he even came out and said, if I chase down Josh Dobbs, he puts that ball out. Years past, just one game prior, that effort would have caused a turnover. Maybe we're not even having this conversation. That changes the game dynamic completely. So, if they continue to play, they got to be disciplined, though. I will say this. I feel like we're such dogs and we're so aggressive. There's sometimes that Dan has to kind of I hate to say calm it down because you want these guys to play with so much energy, right? But be disciplined. Control it. Yeah, because teams are going to use it against you if you don't. And Dallas didn't adapt to that until the second half. And by that time, it was too late because you couldn't score in the red zone. So, it was just a collective effort last week defensively for at least, like I said, 2 quarters and some change where the Cowboys just didn't have any answers.
No, I'm right there with you. They didn't. And when you don't, again, when you're looking around, and sometimes this happens, and I've been a part of games like this where things aren't going right and you can't figure out. So you start looking around and you start hoping that someone else makes a play, and then that person doesn't make a play. Now he's looking around, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of guys looking around hoping that someone's going to make a play, and the play never comes, and then the clock just keeps running and running and running, and you have no answers. And that's how I felt like the Cowboys as a whole last week were looking for guys like, I think even coaches were saying, you know what, our defense is going to make a play for us, and it never happened. And our defense is saying, man, our offense, they're about to pick it up, and like they would get going. They get in the red zone, stall out, right? Get going, penalty, get backed up. Didn't work out. So there were both sides of the ball, coaches included, that were looking around for someone to make the play or to do what needed to be done to spark the energy for this team, and nothing happened. But this week, I do just have a gut feeling that because of the focus that's been put on it, the energy, the effort, the misalignments and assignments, all those things, I think it's going to be a locked-in squad, and they're going to be ready to hunt with precision, not just wildly hunting, but hunting with precision.
Yeah, there's one thing you can't be reckless, right?
Right.
You gotta be responsible with your energy, man. All right, so we do this every week now, and we might as well just call it Cowboys win if, because the opposite is probably our Cowboys lose if. So, Cowboys win this game, Jesse, if they do what?
If Brandon Cooks joins the party.
Oh, I would love for that.
Hello, Brandon Cooks. The last time the Cowboys played the Patriots, the second receiver, which was CeeDee Lamb, went off in that game for over 140 yards. They kept Amari Cooper locked in for 55 yards that game. So I'm hoping now that Bill wants to take away CeeDee Lamb in this offense, and now you'll see the Archer. He'll finally get a chance to –
I've been waiting for
he'll finally get a chance to do that.
They got a new little thing, too, where they go.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. I need that to happen. So the Cowboys win this game if Brandon Cooks shows up with at least 80 yards and a touchdown.
All right, I got Cowboys win this game if they are back to being good in the red zone, right? I feel like if they go back to their 3 for 4 days, 3 for 5, 4 for 6 type days in the red zone, they win this game. I just don't think, and again, this could all change. We saw it happen last week, but I just don't think the Patriots have enough firepower to constantly move the ball and score a bunch of touchdowns all game. So if you can hold them to 2 touchdowns, what the Cowboys are normally doing to the teams, I feel like if you execute in the red zone, now you're up, 24 to 10 or 13, and they have to throw the rock. And Mac Jones, McCorkle Jones, right? He's got to drop back against his pass rush, and they have a not great offensive line and not many weapons on the outside. So score touchdowns in the red zone in this game, and I think the Cowboys come away with the victory, Jesse.
I mean, touchdowns always help victories.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm sitting here doing 3 things at once. The Washington football people are driving to try to tie this game up, by the way. They're about third and short with 20-something seconds left. And again, I'm way behind, but inside, close to the red zone.
Yeah, they're first and 10 now with 5 seconds left, so they got one shot at the end zone.
Oh, they got one shot? All
Yep,
right,
they got one shot at the end zone. They just hit Terry McLaurin. They got the ball at the I believe 5-yard. First and goal at the 5. So
YouTube TV's behind.
yeah, so they got to they get one shot. They get one shot. You only get one shot. They at the 10-yard line. Excuse me, at the first and goal at the 10-yard line, and 5 seconds left to go on the clock. Need a touchdown to win this game.
Interesting game. But like I said, regardless, Dallas has to go out there, spoil the homecoming of Ezekiel Elliott, and get out here and get this victory. And I think you want to see it in impressive fashion, because it feels like no matter what the Cowboys do, there's always going to be some type of questions coming out of these type of games. But I always say this: I'd rather people be complaining, being and moaning after a win than after a loss. So the Cowboys need to go out there and finish it, man.
Yeah, I do. For whatever reason, I've had this undeniable belief in this team this year, like I've never had. Like I've never had this type of belief outside of my playing days about a football team, this football organization. And this year, I just consistently lean to the positive side of things, and I just feel that they're going to get back to their winning ways, like the real winning ways, not eking one out, not a sloppy win. I think this is going to be one of those dominating wins from start to finish. Like it's going to feel like when we come back for the post-game show that there was never in doubt. There was never a moment of doubt, right? That even if the score isn't a large score, but you never felt that the Patriots were ever in control at any point in time of the football game.
I always find this stat impressive. Under McCarthy, I believe under McCarthy, the Cowboys are 9-1 after losses. At least probably in the last couple of years. I don't know if that's the case in 2020. They lost a lot of games, but they're 9-1 in their last 10 games coming off of a loss. So that right there shows you that these guys have the ability to bounce back. Wow, I just saw this play that incomplete. That was interesting. Interesting call there. Interesting call. Shouts out to your guy. Sam Howell bouncing back after that crazy game last week. We had 4 picks, but bounced back today. Didn't throw any touchdowns, but kept him alive.
This is it right here. Got his first touchdown of the day.
Oh, did they score?
Yeah.
See, I'm behind. Oh,
yep.
This is going to be fun. Come on, Washington.
Jahan Dotson.
Dotson?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Are they going for 2?
Oh, nice catch. I just got it. As soon as I say, I ain't have a touchdown today just yet, but boom, touchdown. All right, Cowboys coming up in about 5 minutes or so. And look, man, big game. All of them are big. Look forward to talking to you guys at halftime and then obviously on the post-game show. So make sure you guys bring it back with your boy Skywalker Steele and Jesse Holley. We'll catch you